GIFTpreneurs, Episode 7, S.E.E.D, How to Find Your Contribution in Life. My name is Mike, and I'm back for another GIFTpreneur podcast. Excited to be back. And so, took some time off to really gather my thoughts. I got a gang of notes here, but I really wanted to begin diving deeper into what it really means to understand the importance of how your gift will make room for you. And everything starts with a seed. And so today I'm going to dive further into some things I want to share with you and begin putting the pieces of the puzzle together in a more of a form that you can actually take some actionable steps. And so everything that I'm going to share today is based upon my own experiences, as well as just all the things I've studied from a lot of people that have influenced my life. And those people, just backtracking it and just tracing their journey, gave me a chance to put together some thoughts that I think is very important on helping you, as well as, you know, as we all go through this journey called life, really grab a hold of, you know, our uniqueness, our greatness, and how to release it to the world. So I want to dive right into it. And so understanding your contribution, that's what I've been talking about for several episodes now. And it has a lot to do with thinking outside of the box, thinking beyond just the things we were taught from the time we were born to this current point in our lives, wherever you're at, whether you're younger or a little bit older. It's never too late to really dive deeper into discovering who you are and tapping into your uniqueness in order to serve it to the world. And so everything we do in life has to do with service of some kind. Now it's more so just a matter of who are you serving. And so now with GIFTpreneur, I want to help you to uncover some uniqueness about yourself so that you can get into the business of releasing yourself and deploying yourself. So a lot of the concepts I'm going to use today come from prior episodes. So if you have not, I encourage you to take a chance to go back and familiarize yourself with some of those terminologies I'm going to use. But I want to dive right into it. And so I'm looking at my notes as I'm talking, and I also want to draw up a couple of things because I think that by the time I'm done, if I do what I intend to do, you'll leave here with something to work with, and definitely something that you're going to want to share this, because this is something that you won't learn in school. And so basically, S.E.E.D, how to find your contribution in life. And so once again, as I always mention, your contribution, everything we do, everybody wants to share something about themselves. Everyone wants to feel connected with something that's a lot greater than themselves. And I believe it has to do with your contribution. And unfortunately, the way the system is set up now, where everything that we're currently involved with happens to start with our educational system. And that's one of the biggest things as a parent that really has me concerned, is that having gone through the educational system, have put in what I consider over 19,000 hours from the time I was in kindergarten to the time I received my bachelor's degree, where I was given general information. And then I went on to specialize into a unique area. And for my case, it was business and entrepreneurship. But yet then again, that was all there was. There was nothing on top of that. So there's a lot of people out here in life that perhaps have chosen to pursue that particular model that they were encouraged to do, which was to go to school. And then after you go to school, now what do you want to do with your life? And typically, most people are encouraged to look at career pathways that happen to pay a good amount of money or provide opportunities for people to be able to climb the corporate ladder in order to get all the benefits and perks and things that go with that. And they consider that to be living life. And from that, they base their entire life structure, the size of their home, the size of their car, the trips, and all those things based upon their career pathway. But yet in this current day and age, as I've mentioned before, that's all changed. It has changed. And so there's been no change in our educational system. And so a lot of the contribution I'm talking about, there's two sides of the equation. And so there's the conventional pathway, which starts off with your education. And then there's the alternative pathway, which starts out with uncovering who you are before you add on any type of skill on top of it. Because one thing I think will be very unfortunate is to spend your entire life going through life relying solely upon a skill that was acquired for the sole purposes of starting a career, and knowing that career, all careers come to an end within that 30 to 40 year window, and it's called retirement. So a lot of people forget about the fact that life is more than just a cycle of getting up, going into work, getting paid, and then building your life after that. I'm of the mindset it's important to live your life now. Try to live your best life now, utilizing your career, utilizing your job as a way of providing for yourself temporarily, but more importantly, to fund your after work activities, such as your calling or things of that nature. So I want to actually dive first into talking about the primary problem, why I believe this SEED concept that I'm going to lay out is so important. Because, your career, as I mentioned, is tied to and is based upon your education. And so imagine if the education you received, and I can speak for myself because I've received a similar education no matter what part of the world you're in. The general information was given. You have your math, your science, your histories, you have your Englishes, and all the core stuff that's needed in order to lay something on top of that in the form of whatever career pathway you're going to choose. But yet one thing I've noticed over the last couple of decades now, being removed from the educational realm, how as a parent now, the academics hasn't really changed much. Apart from the information, the way it might be delivered. They have computers now, they have cell phones now, so it's just technology has improved, but the general information that our kids receive is not the same. And that's why as a parent, I believe it's my responsibility to help my children in particular, as well as encourage you as well, if you're a parent or soon to be a parent, the importance of taking the alternative route at start, as opposed to relying solely upon the model of going to school so you can go to college so that you can go down the same pathway that more than likely you're going down now. And one of the ways I like to really frame this is that look at whatever career path you're in now, in your office, in your building, or your colleagues that's in that same line of work. And if they're 10, 15 years older than you and they've been in that same field or in that same area, are they living the type of life that you want to live? And so if they've climbed the ladder, and they more than likely, there's only so far you can go on a ladder before you peak. And that ladder will only probably take you to maybe executive board member, president, or something like that. But then once you get to that point, then what? You're going to find out that if you're not engaged in something else, there'll be minimum room for you to grow. And then on top of that, the clock is still ticking. So it's going to come to an end. And so our education system is extremely flawed in the fact that they don't bother to ask our children or to set up any type of additional curriculum or structure to help a kid understand what he's carrying in the form of his gift. And so I believe that, as the Bible says, your gift makes room for you. Your gift is what we should focus on first, and then add some education on top of it. And so there's two pathways, in my opinion. There's the conventional way, which leads to a career, which can be extremely promising and extremely fulfilling. But then a career, as I mentioned, has a ticker on it, and it's called retirement. It's going to come to an end. More than likely, most people, unless you're a business owner in your career, you're going to be forced out at some point, just because that's just how that system operates. But then on the other side, there's something that is completely different that is not taught, and it happens to be in regards to what I consider your calling. And your calling is something that supersedes it. It far outweighs the level of importance than a career, because a career, it has its plus and minuses. Usually it's tied to and dependent upon someone else making decisions for you or on your behalf or whatever. Whereas your calling, it has more to do with you and finding out your uniqueness. And that happens to be tied into this SEED concept that I'm going to lay out for you right now. And so why is this so important? It's because with the GIFTpreneur concept, I believe it's all about discovering and releasing your greatness. And so you take your gift and you put it into a preneurship and entrepreneurship manner. I believe that it's something that you can do from the moment you sow your first seed until the moment you leave this planet. Because if the job is well done, then there'll be something left behind after you that your grandkids can possibly be recipients of. And that's something that you don't learn in school. In school, we learn to, as I say, get that career, and you get some funds and you put it in the hands of somebody else, and you can't leave your job to your kids, but you can leave your calling or part of your calling to your kids. And that's why this GIFTpreneur is so important. So careers are good to start with, but there's something greater than that, and it happens to be your calling. So that's what we're going to get into. So today I want to actually lay out to you some foundational pieces of things that I've extracted from my life, as well as gathered from other people, which can help you find and uncover more about what this seed I'm talking about. So I'm going to draw on the screen right now and give you an idea of what I'm talking about. But the seed ultimately boils down to being your sweet spot. Your seed, I'll give you the acronym right now. SEED means self-discovery that enables and encourages deployment. And so you might be wondering, okay, what is a deployment? So if you're new, like I mentioned, I encourage you to go back so you can understand what the word deployment means. But to sum it up in a sense, discovering who you really are will enable you, and it also encourage you. And so the enabling and encouraging part happens to be extremely exciting, and I can testify on this directly firsthand, which will cause you to want to share. So deployment basically means to release, to give, to put it out there. So like in an analogy, troops are deployed, they're sent. And so once you find out who and what and why and how, what you're carrying, it's going to light a fire in you that will enable you, and it will encourage you to want to do something. It's going to encourage you to want to give something. And then that's when we're going to dive further into exactly what that is. And of course, there's two different ways of looking at this. There's a natural way, and then there's a spiritual way. And so I think either one of them, if you apply these general concepts to it, any way it go, with discipline and time, you're going to get some results that you could have never imagined had you not came across this information and actually applied that first step. And so on the screen here, I'm going to go deeper into what I'm talking about. So to get right into it, on the screen here, you see just a white canvas. And so once again, a white canvas is very symbolic of the opportunities that present that you can create from. And so the giftpreneur concept has to do with creation, and it has to do with you having the ability to be able to create whatever it is that you want to create, but it starts with a seed. So to give you an idea of what the actual seed, I'll actually put it on the screen for you so you can see what I'm talking about here. And so a seed is simply, give you that acronym on top of the screen there. It is self-discovery enables and encourages deployment. Sweet and simple. Self-discovery. Self-discovery for me has been one of the greatest journeys that I have ever been upon. And so I've had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things, whether it be from sports, whether it be from business, whether it be from employment itself, or you name it. But learning more about myself is one thing that is not taught in school. In school, you're taught to learn about the history of all the great people supposed that lived before us. You got the George Washington, the Abraham Lincolns, Martin Luther Kings, and all those people who are in the history books. But then they don't tell you or encourage you or even stir up something within you so that you can also be in those history books. Because ultimately, I believe if everybody uncovered their greatness and their uniqueness, we should all leave something behind that people should be able to learn from. Therefore, if it's not even in the history books, it should be in some book somewhere or on some demonstration somewhere where people can say, hey, he did this. Let me see if I can do it better than him and add to the journey. And so the seed concept is simple. Self-discovery enables encouraged deployment. And so this is just me giving you an idea as into my life and what excites me and what I've done and what I do, and what really drives me further to actually share this with you. And it has to do with the fact that self-discovery is the number one goal that you should have if you are going to be able to go the alternative route and go beyond just mere career or mere employment. And so I want to lay out something here. And so this is the primary format, I believe, that can help you find your seed or your unique contribution item. And so here we have a circle. This circle here, it stands for your attributes. Your attributes are simply, an inherent quality or characteristic about yourself. What defines you? What makes you you? And so I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm, middle-aged young man. And so one thing that I've been able to gather in some of my attributes, the unique inherent things that make me who I am, there's multiple, there's many, but the one thing that comes to mind that I'm aware of and act upon the most is my ability to use my creativity. I'm able to simply take or recognize a problem, and within a short period of time, I can strategize or come up with an idea or an invention that can create a solution. And so that is a gift in and of itself to me, that for me personally, as an example, I can put my creativity. And so from that gives me a little bit as to some of the unique areas of myself. And there's all types of other attributes, but just for some simplicity's sake, I'm hoping you understand where this is heading. So what are your unique inherent qualities that you can say that is some of your strong suits? What are you the strongest at? Once you figure that out, you got something to work with. And then the next one, which I think is going to be a validator of those attributes of yours, is simply in your acknowledgements. So there's somebody out there. There's somebody, if I can spell this correctly, there's somebody out there that can acknowledge one of those attributes that you have, one of those characteristics or traits. And so it simply happens like this. Man, wow, you're really good at that. You know, you know, like, did you go to school for that? Did you learn that? Or did you da-da-da? Or you know how that goes. So for me, for example, you know, when it comes to working with kids, being a parent, or even before I was a parent, I have the inherent nature of just being patient overall because I'm a laid back, I'm a mellow type of guy. And so I don't get easily aroused or anything like that. So working with kids has been a gift of mine because that's a part of the profession that I've had as well, to where working with kids comes easy to me. Some people can't do that. And then there's other acknowledgments of, man, like, you put together that event real well. So I can plan events. And so those are just different attributes and acknowledgments that I personally have received that has helped me be able to put some of the dots together to really find a seed. And so once again, that seed aspect, we're going to dive further into that, but a seed is where everything starts. A seed can be an idea. A seed can be, it can be the actual activity that you're going to then sow into the ground. And we're going to dive further in that as time moves along. And then the other one that I think will help you is activities. And so what I mean by activities, I'm saying simply, what is it or what action that you are involved in, or what energy do you exert in your current day, in your life, in your week, in your month, that gives you the most energy? What is it that you do that just, man, makes you just light up when you do it? And so every single person has that action, that thought, that idea, or that activity, as I'm putting here, that lights a fire. And so for me, like, having a chance now to take these thoughts, put them into some type of presentation, and then the process of putting it all together in video format and audio format, that really lights a fire within me, because I took an idea, something that never existed before to me, and now I'm demonstrating and sharing it with you. And so that, to me, is that activity that it gives me energy. Like, it gives me so much energy that I really can't even articulate that in words. But everyone has that activity, that thing that they exert energy towards, that returns just as much energy back to them, because it makes you want to do more of it. And that's kind of what this podcast is for me, as well as a lot of other things that I'm involved in. And so I wouldn't be doing it if it didn't give me energy. And so energy, what gives you energy? And so, for example, this podcast, and I got to do video work, I do training, I do, trying to do some speaking. And so, I have, I can work with kids. I am able to communicate in a way that people can understand and so I'm an educator. What else we got? I mean, there's so many things I can give you that helped me uncover my uniqueness. And then once I hone it down, I can pick a variety of subject matter that I can extrapolate from and then go further with it to that next step. But for the sake of uncovering a single seed. So this is like taking your strong point, taking some acknowledgments that people have given you. All you have to do is ask some of your friends, or here's a good question is, what do I do good that other people can't do that comes easy to me? That is probably the best way to find out. What am I good at that comes easy to me with very little effort that other people around me don't do? And then if you have struggles with that, just simply ask somebody, what is it about me that, it makes me a little bit different? What makes me unique? And I'm sure somebody can give you something. And so me asking my wife, she can give you my strong suits in all three of these categories, because she acknowledges them often, because some of the things I create and come up with, she, it just makes her like, wow, like, I didn't see that. Or I didn't know that. So that's just someone close to home. But it'd be good to ask somebody close to you, and then someone who's just getting to know you more than likely, because they can, tell you a lot easier based upon the information they receive from you off first introduction. And so once you have an idea of each of these strong suits, and in the future, I'm going to dive further into how to really go deeper with some questions and answers. I just want to lay the groundwork here. But once you have an idea of your single strongest, the thing that you're most acknowledged for, and the thing that gives you the most energy, you have three things that you can take before the Lord. And so once again, there's a natural way and a spiritual way. The natural way is simply saying, you can excel in it regardless. You can get something started with it regardless. You can sow a seed regardless, and it's going to do well because you've honed in on some things that separates you from the pack. But if you want to take it even further to the next level, when you incorporate the spiritual elements of it, you get before God and say, hey, Lord, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to contribute to your equation? And so once again, there's two agendas. You have the natural agenda of pursuing something that's your dream, that really has you excited, something you can probably dedicate your life to. And then on the other side, the spiritual side, you have something where it excites you, but it's the Lord wanting to get something through you for the advancement of his kingdom. So two different agendas. Ultimately, if you take these concepts here and apply both of them, natural or spiritual, I believe you're going to be a winner regardless. But yet, me personally, I'm trying to go to the spiritual element, but yet it's one of them things where it's a lifelong journey. So that's why this Giftpreneur podcast, I believe, is so important for me to articulate these things, because I'm learning as I share this information. But yet, right in the middle, right here in the middle is where it all takes place. This is where X marks the spot. This is the sweet spot. This sweet spot is where, man, if they taught kids how to find their sweet spot, or if parents were aware of the importance of trying to put together some things so that kids can find their sweet spot, they can help people avoid so much catastrophe, so much unnecessary action and trial and error, i.e., the possibilities of student debt and things of that nature. Because if a kid knew that he was gifted in his strength was he knew his strengths, he received confirmation from his mom and dad and family members of how good he was at this particular thing, and then the activities that he loves to do already really excites him, and it's something that he can share with others. Because once you get your sweet spot, now it's a matter of being able to share it with others. That is the ultimate goal. Now, once you got something that excites you, then you might want to share it with somebody. And in sharing it, more than likely, you present a unique angle that that person you're sharing it with may not have or be able to understand. And then you have an opportunity to begin serving what it is that you carry to that person. And in time, I'm excited to get into the next episode, because I'm talking about what you're going to do with your seed. And then, I want to jump the gun, but with the seed aspect, you got to put it into something. And when you put it into something, that's when you start to see the real magic happen. But for this episode, we go talk about just simply finding it. And it happens to be your sweet spot. So to go back to the seed concept, self-discovery is the ultimate way to begin uncovering who you are. Because school doesn't teach you who you are. School just gives you information to pursue that conventional pathway of getting a career, starting a career, and then climbing the ladder to get off when it's time to retire. And unfortunately, a lot of people then wait to start their dreams. Then they wait to live a life that has meaning to them. But like most cases I've recognized is by the time you get to that point, usually your health, usually your mind, usually some type of circumstances takes place where at that point in your life, it's usually hard to teach an old dog new tricks, which makes it a lot harder. And so right now, wherever you're at, whatever age you are, the sooner you begin discovering yourself, the better the chance of you starting something that you can spend the rest of your life working towards. And if you just spend time towards something, you're going to get better. And in getting better, if you're getting better for the purpose of serving it to somebody, you're going to always have an opportunity to be of value to somebody. And so as I wrap this up, I want to, you might be wondering, okay, Mike, okay, you say attributes, your acknowledgements, your activities, okay, your sweet spot. Now, say if you happen to know your sweet spot, you know what you're strong at. It's been confirmed through other people acknowledging you several times. So you got that, and you got some activities that really excite you. Now, what do? Okay, Here's a way, and this is a way that we can try to gauge the level of importance for this. There's ultimately two ways. There's two directions we can take. And, after you kind of got an idea what seed, and remember, a seed can be an idea, it can be a product, it can be a service. You never know, because it's all within you. When you get before God, I think he'll make it a little bit clearer for you. But even if you're on the natural realm, or you just got an idea that has been validated and is in an industry that you like, you got yourself a seed. And so here's something for those, here's some things to consider. So how do you know where or what to serve with your seed? So here's a good way of telling, and this is just me through trial and error, figuring this out, so we're going together. But I think it's kind of valid because it can give you some direction. And so how, what, and where? Because your seed is not for you. Let me tell you again, your seed is not for you. It's meant to be served into the world. The greatest fulfillment comes from being able to give, not necessarily receiving. Receiving is fine, but just something that's satisfying about giving that, makes it clear in the Bible. So here's an idea. Here we have two directions. You can go left, you can go right. Either one of them going to take you somewhere. In the middle, you have just where your starting point. So right now you got your sweet spot. You got an idea as to what it is you want to do, how you're going to do it. Now it's a matter of, man, where do I go from here? Here's two ways, just something to think about that can probably get you moving in one direction or the other with that idea. Typically, in this world, we're either motivated to change something out of fear or out of mere just being fed up with the fact of I can't continue to go that way no more because my life just doesn't really work anymore that way. So there's going to be some factors that makes you want to change. But now that you're initiating something, let's make it even easier. There's two things that are pretty much leading the way on this planet. We're either educating people or have a desire to educate people, or we're trying to entertain people. And so when it comes to education, on one end, entertainment on the other. Now, me personally, I had a point in my life where I was an entertainer. That was in the sports world. My gifts, my unique abilities, my attributes, to be like I can shoot, I was strong, I was fast. That seed that I sowed for so many years playing basketball was for the purpose of entertaining. So that was down the entertainment pathway. As I got older, I realized that entertaining is not necessarily how I'm going to impact people's lives for change. You can be a great entertainer and then not really have an impact other than just putting a smile on people's face. And so as of today, I'm sharing this podcast on the 30th of January. And just this past week, one of the greatest basketball players of all time died, Mr. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was a great entertainer. He had 20 years of entertaining the world, and through his entertainment, he impacted a lot of athletes on the floor. And so after he retired, he got into his phase at around 40-ish of wanting to then educate and contribute in another way. So my point is, you can start off going either direction. A seed can go either way. And so, for example, for Kobe Bryant, his seed started him off in the entertainment section, which opened the door up for his name to be world renowned and known as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And as he transitioned out of that particular career, he started to go more towards, I believe, what he would probably consider his calling or what he wanted to contribute for the rest of his life. And then it got into education. He was coaching his daughter's team. I saw him doing several podcasts, educating, speaking, motivational speaking. He was going down the educational pathway. And so for me personally, for the sake of keeping it simple with your sweet spot, ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to entertain? Do you want to educate? And me personally, at this current moment in my life, as I transition into another phase, I want to educate. So it's a no-brainer for me. I want to educate. So whatever idea I see that I sow is going to be towards education, because education for me, primarily alternative education, gives people a different spin. I want to get people to think beyond school, think beyond your job, think beyond the things that are already expected of you. I want to talk about things that you're not even aware of, things that will make the most impact for you, not because it will only make your life better, richer, and happier and all that stuff like that, but It's a matter of getting stuff through you so that you can uncover yourself to get stuff to other people. It's all about multiplication. And so a big part of the Giftpreneur podcast logo is that there's a Bible, which is the foundation. There's a box with a seed in it, and there's light coming from it. And then there's a tree. And this is all about your legacy. As you uncover yourself, it's about leaving fruit on a tree that will outlive you. So you got two pathways. You can entertain, you can educate. Either way it goes, you should do something. Don't stay in this middle and be stuck climbing a ladder that ends with retirement. And then what? Then you collect benefits, and then you hope you can then start your very best self at that point. So anyway, with that being the case, I'm going to dial back. I just wanted to connect and share with you the importance of finding your seed and how it will really make a difference in your contribution in this life. And I believe you'll be a lot happier with yourself, and you'll be able to leave something behind. At the end of the day, everybody wants to be acknowledged for their unique greatness. And typically speaking, outside of what we already have been taught through the conventional methods, I think the alternative route gives people a chance to make a choice. And ultimately, it's all about choice. What do you choose? What will you choose is on you. But at least you want to make sure you have the choice to do so. So with that being the case, this is episode 7. I'm excited to bring this information to you. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Was this of value to you? Did you get some nuggets out of this? Definitely share this information, because once again, you won't find this coming from your school. And if you're a parent, you definitely might want to take some thought in this, because as a parent for myself, it'll be hard for me to share this information with my kids if I wasn't trying to do it, wanting to do it, or already doing it in my life. So hopefully you are, and it just makes it easier to share because you are the example that the world's looking at. And so hopefully let your light shine brightly. Other than that, leave a comment down below. If wherever you're watching this or listening to this, share it, get it out there. Look forward to showing you next the importance of where to put the seed when you figure out what it is. Other than that, be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Next episode, Giftpreneurs, coming soon.